Hi, my name's Glenn Pinner. I've been at Sully & Nix for almost 40 years. Biotech's been running for well over 25 years. My previous history was I was head of microbiology, and I started Biotech Laboratories with another gentleman, Mark Tandy, who still works here. And we're a food and water testing laboratory. We've expanded to do air samples, soil as well. About 50% of our samples, or just over, are water samples. The majority of that is Legionella samples from cooling towers and associated water cooling systems, and also more recently warm water and reticulated water in healthcare facilities. In fact, we were the laboratory that found the Legionella that was associated with the outbreak at the Wesley Hospital, and went on from that to do a major proportion of the testing throughout Queensland of all healthcare facilities. The other sorts of testing we do are food, and that can be everything from samples coming from primary producers, raw products, right through carcasses from abattoirs, and even right through to the meals, pre-prepared meals. In fact, some of the meals that you eat on aeroplanes has come through Biotech Laboratories first to make sure that it's safe. We originally decided to set all this up outside of Sullivan and Galati's. In fact, Mark had started designs to set up our laboratory, and we registered the name Biotech Laboratories as a business at that stage, not a company. And he was going to reconvert his garage into a little lab. This was all before NATA ever existed. So we were always going to do that. And then our boss at that time, because we were both in microbiology, was Dr. Ron Morahan, who was a bit of an entrepreneurial type guy. And when we'd already got our paperwork together, we'd got our letterhead, even produced it, we decided that Legionella testing was the best way to go, because it was food at that stage. No one was really interested in testing. So just about 2 weeks before we were starting to, we'd organised media and all the rest of it, Ron Morahan came to me and said, look, I've been looking into this, and I think Sully & Nix should get involved in this Legionella testing. And my heart dropped, and I told Mark, and we're going, oh God, what are we going to do? And I said, he'll probably forget about it. Like, just let it go. He's very entrepreneurial. He'll move on to something else. Open up another lab, in Maryborough or wherever. And in fact, two weeks later, he came in and said, no, I'm really serious about this. So we bit the bullet and went and saw him and laid all our stuff out on the paper on his desk. And he didn't talk to us for about 3 days, was fuming. And then came back and said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put it to the executive, it wasn't the executive at that stage, it was the partners, and we'll see what they say. And they came back and said, well, let's run it as a pilot and see what happens. So we got to open up a company with no risk and no money input ourselves, and we ran that. In fact, it was Mark and I, and then later Margaret McCowan, who's still here. We were all in microbiology, and we used to do it after work. So after work, we'd start processing the samples and reading the cultures and whatever. And it started from there. That was in about 1988, 89. And for about a year, I was head of microbiology and head of biotech, and I had a bat phone, what we used to call the bat phone, and anyone in the department who answered that phone had to pick up and say Biotech Laboratories. And it was an old handset, and I put a bit of the letterhead on it. So Biotech Laboratories, Sullivan and Galati's microbiology. And that was at Taringa. By that stage we were at Taringa. It actually started at Leichhardt Street. And then after that I got offered to stand down from head of micro and take on Biotech Laboratories, and Mark Tandy took my role, and it got it was incorporated at that stage, and that's sort of how it started. My first ever lab assistant was Shane Byrne. So he was our first ever lab assistant. So it just sort of grew from there, and just got bigger and bigger. And we started taking up too much space at Taringa, so they kicked us to Greenslopes, and we were there since the year 2000. It's good in the fact that now we're actually at the hub where the samples come in, because there used to be about a 4 to 6 hour delay between when samples would arrive here till they finally found their way over to Greenslopes. And we were in, as a normal sort of situation, we were in a whole pile of different little rooms down a hallway. As we got more space, we stole a room, and then we stole a room, then we stole a room. And as you can see here, it's all open plan, so it's it's a lot easier and a lot the workflow's better. We're always here to help. If you have questions, whether it's about a sample, customers coming in and dropping in samples and no paperwork, or anything about our process, or just questions about what we do, even that affect you in your own life, where you've possibly had a case of food poisoning and you're not sure where you go from here. I'm here, and all my staff are here certainly to help, and happy to answer those sort of questions anytime.
Lovely.
For a cost. My Swiss bank account number, which I give to our customers, is 47329. I'm a rebel.